different characters.
So we're done at the aquarium, and Sean and I came over here to the World of Coke, and we just got in. We're getting ready to start the tour, so let's take a look and see what this place has to offer.
Now, beside that bottle, you'll see the words "Open Happiness." Open Happiness is Coca-Cola's current advertising campaign. It came out about 2.5, almost 3 years ago. So when you all go home and watch TV and see Coca-Cola commercials, chances are they're going to reflect the Open Happiness theme. Now, in just a few moments, when we head into our theater, we're going to see those same characters come to life in our 6.5-minute animated musical called Happy Vacation. Once we're finished with Happy Vacation, we'll then enter into our hot area. From that point on, your self-guided tour will begin. But I'll tell you all a little bit more about that in just a few minutes. Right now, I'm pretty sure some of you in here are wondering, well, how did all this get started? Who invented Coca-Cola? Where was it first sold? Coca-Cola was invented right here in Atlanta. In fact, the first glass of it was sold over the counter at Jacob's Pharmacy, which at that time was less than 1 mile from where you and I are standing today. And that took place back on May 8, 1886. So just this past May, we celebrated our 125th anniversary. Now, the guy who developed the formula was a pharmacist from Columbus, Georgia, whose name was Dr. John Pemberton. Dr. Pemberton developed the syrup. He then used 1 ounce of that syrup, mixed it with 5 ounces of carbonated water, and served it to customers for only 5 cents per glass. Now, that price lasted from 1886 all the way until 1956. So for 70 years, a glass or a bottle of Coca-Cola only costed 5 cents. After that, it went up to 6 cents. Some places it went up to 7. It then jumped up to 10 cents, and it continued to climb from there. Now, unfortunately, Dr. Pemberton passed away only 2 years after he invented Coca-Cola, so he did not live long enough to see any great measure of success from the product that he created. However, a very popular Atlanta businessman came along named Asa Candler, who purchased all the outstanding shares of Coca-Cola for a sum total of only $2,300. And from that point, he went on a very aggressive marketing campaign, giving out incentives to customers and to store owners and to pharmacists to purchase the Coke syrup from him. If you all had been those store owners or those pharmacists who had purchased at least 100 gallons of Coke syrup from Mr. Candler, you all would have gotten this syrup dispenser free. Now, this syrup dispenser is the oldest artifact that we have in here. It dates back to 1896, which is only 1 decade after Coke itself was invented. In the top bowl was stored the syrup. Again, 1 ounce of that syrup was dispensed into a glass placed in the bottom, mixed with the carbonated water, and served to the customers for how much?
20 cents.
For how long?
7 years.
7 years, there you go, forever. 1886 to 1956. In 1917, Mr. Candler became the mayor of Atlanta, so he had to advocate the presidency of Coca-Cola to his son Charles. A few years later, in 1923, Robert Woodruff became the president of Coca-Cola. Because of all the innovative things that took place under his leadership, today Coca-Cola is sold in 206 countries around the world. We have about 500 brand names, around 3,500 different individual products, and each and every day, approximately 1.7 billion servings of any given Coke products are being consumed globally. Given all that, it should come as no surprise to you then why Coca-Cola has been officially designated as the world's most recognized trademark, or the world's most recognized brand name. And we're definitely proud to have that distinction. Now, to my left, we have this Norman Rockwell original painting. This one's called The Barefoot Boy, and it dates back to 1931. Oftentimes, when people look at this portrait, it reminds them of Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, and a lot of those older American stories. Now, this particular picture became so popular that Coke decided to duplicate it by placing it on the trays, calendars, jigsaw puzzles, coasters, playing cards, and a host of other household objects. A little bit later on, you'll see the second one that we have here on site. In those days, Coca-Cola was seen as a means of refreshment, very much like it is today. Oftentimes, the summer sales were higher than the winter sales. So what did Coca-Cola have to do? Coke had to begin to market itself as a year-round drink, and in doing so, we developed this 1905 Drink Coca-Cola 5 Cent Holiday Belt, as well as this 1936 Snowman Festoon. Now, speaking of this festoon, in those days, if you wanted a Coca-Cola, you'd have to go into a drugstore to get one. You go into a drugstore, walk over to the soda fountain, and you find a festoon like this one hanging as a backdrop, inviting you to come purchase a glass of Coca-Cola. Now, the same goes for these two festoons that you see here. The one at the top is from 1940, and the one beneath that one, 1927. Now, does anyone recognize the young lady on this special offer picture?
Raquel Welch.
Raquel Welch, there you go. Very popular actress in the 60s and 70s. Also, she was the first
Very impressive, Sean.
to promote the
Says it right on
dynamic
the
ribbon,
thing.
which came out in 1970. All the accessories that she's wearing on this picture have that white dynamic ribbon strip on them. And here are a few of those accessories for you to view. Only 2 years later, 1972, if you have $2.98 and approve of purchase of a Coca-Cola You all could very well have purchased your own pair of these Coca-Cola Hip Hugger Beach Pants. If you now turn your attention to our back corner, there you'll see our largest artifact, which is that big red Coca-Cola bottle opener. In its original form, it was 16 feet long and 6 feet wide. We had to cut that down a few times in order for it to fit back there. Back in 2006, that hung on a billboard overlooking Interstate 75 right here in Atlanta. Now, on the adjacent wall there, you'll see Joan Crawford and Clark Gable. Can anyone tell us how Clark Gable helped to kind of popularize Atlanta? Gone with the Wind. There you go. Filmed in 1939. Very good. Would y'all now completely turn around and look at that back wall again? This time, look at the very top row, and you'll see the words, the Coca-Cola Company. Those words are written in Spencerian script. However, that exact sign actually hung under Coca-Cola World Headquarters for 60 years, from 1919 till 1979. Now, beneath that, along the entire back wall, you'll see a host of different expressions of Coke advertising, both domestic and international. For instance, towards the left, you'll see that sign that says Play Refresh. It features 3 Cleveland Browns and 1 New York Giant. That 1953 advertisement was one of the first 3 that Coke did that featured African-American athletes. To the right of that, you'll see 3 international advertisements in a vertical row. The one at the top says Coca-Cola Bevriest Who Heads Best, which is Dutch for Coca-Cola refreshes you the best. Beneath that, you'll see an oval-shaped sign that says Bouvet Coca-Cola Glacé. That's French for drink Coca-Cola Ice Cold. And at the very bottom there, we have a sign in Urdu, which is Pakistan's language. The English translation of that is the colors of friendship with Coca-Cola. To the right of that, we have Mr. Graham Jackson there, who is a Georgian native, very popular entertainer. Above that, El Lado Coca-Cola de la Vida, in Spanish, or the Coca-Cola Side of Life. That came to us in 2006 from Colombia. To the right of that, we have German advertisements. Drink Coca-Cola is drink Coca-Cola, and Makamal also means take a break. To the right of that, Mandani Aha is more cool and refreshing in Vietnamese. At the very end of that wall, we have Swiss. And around this entire room, you'll find that we have about 25 different countries represented here in our artifacts and our memorabilia. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you all a brief overview of everything we have in this room. Within the next few moments, these lights will start flashing.